This is the video for Chapter 8. We're going to take a look at enumerated lists. And I've already opened a project and I've opened the edit window so I can start typing. I'm going to start at the top here with my include statements, and I do need IOStream. And I'm also going to need the string header because this particular program is actually going to set up an enumerated list of the months and then print those months out. What we're going to do is ask the user to input a date in a certain format, and then we're going to use the enumerated list to convert the numeric month to the actual name of the month. So I need a string header as well. We're still in the standard namespace, so that hasn't changed. And I'm ready to start here my main function and set up my enumerated list. So I use the keyword enum, and then the name of my list is going to be months, and it's typical to see that capitalized just like constants, just because it's a quick way to recognize it. And I'm going to set those months equal to, and I'm not going to do the whole year for the sake of time here, I'm just going to use the first 6 months of the year. And I also am not going to enclose these months in quotes because they aren't strings. They're actually members of the set, if you will, months. So January, and typically the ordinal position of the first one is 0, but in my case that would be very confusing to the user because we don't have a month 0. So I'm going to set January equal to 1. Remember that in an enumerated list you actually have the option of setting its ordinal position or giving it an ordinal value. So February will be equal to month 2. That is the format we're used to. March to 3. April to 4. May is the 5th month, and then June will be our last month for the sake of time here, and it will have an ordinal position and value there of 6. And then at the end of that, one of the things that you can do is to actually put the name of the variable that you're going to use, and the name of this variable is month type. So when I'm referencing my enumerated list with a variable, that variable will be month type. Then I have some other variables in this program. I have an integer, day, month, and year, representing the format that I want the user to put the day in. So now I'm going to prompt the user to actually enter the day, but in a specific format. So enter the date in the format, and it's going to be 99 a space for the month, 99 for the date, and 4 nines here for the year. Then I want to read that value in, of course, so I want to do a cin for my 3 variables here: day, month, oops, wrong order, we're starting with the month, sorry, month, day, and year, to keep things simplified. Now the next statement is the one that might cause a little confusion, because I want to do a static cast. I want to make month type equal to a static cast of my integer, of my enumerated types, months. With the variable month. Now remember, month is being read in as an integer, and the actual value stored at those those enumerated types is the ordinal position. So I want to take the integer value of the month and cast it, whatever that month is. For instance, if I put in 3 for March, it's going to take that 3, it's going to cast it by its ordinal position 3 to the month type, returning March, or giving me March. I can't print that out because I can't do that with an enumerated type. So I end up having to use a switch statement to actually do the printing. But I'm going to switch the month type. And because it is an enumerated type, my actual case labels for the switch statement do not need to be in quotes, because it isn't January in this particular statement is not a string, but rather is an enumerated type. When I print it, I really do want the string. So I want to print January, and then at the end of that I want a break statement. Now typically in a switch, although this is legal, I've got all those statements on one line just to make this a little bit shorter and a little faster. The other thing I'm going to do is copy and paste and then just change the month. So I want to copy, and I'm using the shortcut keys Control C, and then I'm going to Control V a couple of more times. I want all 6 months here, and then I'll clean it up one more. So the second one should be February. And I want to print February, of course. So I'm just doing a little cleanup work here. The third month is March, and I want to print March. Then April, and print April. And then let's line these back up. May, and the last one we're going to do is June. And of course, if I wanted all 12 months, I'd just continue on with the same statements. But for time's sake, we're just going to do this first 6 months. But I am going to include a default, because remember, the default case allows us to put in a little bit of an error trap message. So for this one, if they entered a number that was not 1 through 6, then we would get this default message that there is no such month. And that's the end of my switch. So all that's left to do is to print out my date now with the month name. So I want to see out and I want to print day, and then a comma after the day and a space before I print out the year. Remember, the month is printing out in the switch statement, and there's no endl at the end of any of those cout statements within the switch block itself. So it's going to come down here to the bottom and print out the year, the date, day, and the year that the user actually entered. So now I'll put some line feeds at the end. And of course return 0 for my function main, and close main. So now I'm ready to build my solution and hope that we get a successful build and no errors. Looks like we got some errors. 1. Yep, missing a semicolon at the end of that line. So build again, and this time I expect we'll get a successful build. So we can run it without debugging. And I will actually put in my birthday, so in the format specified, which is 4 space, that's the month, the day, 30, and the year. And it should come through the switch statement and actually print the right month, and it does, April 30th, 1950. So you've now seen the use of an enumerated list.